Legend.
Mega Man VII was released in 1995 for the Super Nintendo and is notable for being the only game of the original Mega Man series to be featured on the SNES. After the success of Mega Man X on the SNES, this game saw a return to the more traditional form of the wily stomping robot named Rock. Despite introducing one of my favorite characters, Bass, to the Mega Man franchise, this game has received somewhat mixed reviews, but today we'll take a look at why I think this game is a true game of legend. In the year 20XX, Mega Man has finally put a stop to Wily's desperate plots, and the world rejoices as he's finally placed behind bars. Fearing this eventuality, Wily had a contingency plan in place. After a predetermined amount of time without contact from Wily, 4 robot masters would be released upon the world and search out their master. Mega Man sets out to stop these robot masters from freeing Wily, only to be confronted by an unknown robot with similar abilities to his own. This robot was Bass. After realizing that they were both trying to stop Wily, Bass and Rock head off separately to try and prevent the mad scientist's escape. However, they arrive too late and Wily proceeds to unleash another 4 robot masters in an attempt to stop the meddling Mega Man. While the story revisits the themes and characters of previous Mega Man installments, this game does explore some darker elements as well, with Mega Man facing the betrayal of Bass after learning that he was working for Wily the whole time, and then again as the Blue Bomber struggles to do the right thing when he finally has Wily in his sights. Bass's introduction in the Mega Man storyline was a hallmark moment as he would become a recurring character in later series titles. The look of this game was a considerable jump from the original installments while still retaining the cute anime character designs from the original NES games. The levels are colorful and the locations vary enough to make each level feel unique, and the enemies are beautifully illustrated sprites with tons of personality. The mid-level bosses that are a rare treat are colorful as well as memorable. Like this guy. Who doesn't like fighting a missile-launching semi-truck? The 8 robot masters of this game are also wonderfully animated in true Mega Man style, even if the concept behind some of them is a bit eh. Springman? Cloudman? Come on. But despite a couple of the less than inspired characters, the game brought the critically acclaimed look of the Mega Man X series back to the original series' roots with this awesome looking game. The Mega Man games are notorious for being both fun to play and at times, better go to Walmart and buy a new TV because this one has a controller smashed into the screen hard. In this fashion, I can honestly say the game doesn't disappoint. While not really adding much to the franchise in terms of game mechanics or overall gameplay innovation, the game does take what the series does well, and does it very well. Like most Mega games, you start with a selection of robot masters. Well, after an obligatory introductory level. Though it's only 4 robot masters at the beginning, after defeating them in any order you choose, you unlock the remaining 4 masters and their corresponding stages. The levels of the bosses are thematic, with each of the bosses found within, such as Junkman's stage being junky, Cloudman's having clouds, and Shademan's level, is that Castlevania? The enemies of the stage aren't that hard much of the time, but there are plenty of pitfalls and more than a couple of ways to die for our blue hero. Remembering to use E-tanks when your health gets low can be a real help, especially later in the game. And don't worry, if you use them all, just hit select during the stage select screen and you can turn collected bolts into more E-tanks via the item shop. But E-tanks will only get you so far. Strategy is what you'll need to defeat Wily and his mechanized minions. And luckily, each robot has a weakness to the power of one of the other robot masters. What are the odds? First Man is probably the easiest starter boss. He's a bubbly behemoth, but nothing a few well-aimed Buster Blasts won't fix. Defeating him gets you the Danger Rap. It's a bubble cannon. Cloudman is a pushover once you have the Danger Rap equipped. Encase him in a bubble and then watch as he hits the ground. Then, repeat. Winning this fight will get you the Thunderbolt. It shoots lightning!
Dave, use the glitch.
Unfortunately, the Thunder Beam glitch from the first game doesn't work with the Thunderbolt. Next up is Junkman, who is easily shocked into submission, and then, using the acquired Junk Shield, Mega Man can bring down the boss called Freeze Man. After the first 4 bosses, 4 more, but first, a museum fight with a giant clown robot. Because reasons. After that, you can take down Slash Man. Not Slash, but Slash Man. And you can do it using the Freeze Cracker you stole from Freeze Man. Spring Man is allergic to the Slash Claw from Slash Man, just make sure to avoid his deadly bounce. Shade Man, who is super shady, can be defeated with the Wild Coil. And finally, you can put the brakes to Turbo Man. Not that Turbo... No one even saw that movie. Just use Noise Crush when he's not transformed. If the bosses up till now have been a challenge, well, it's not over yet. Not even close. I suggest going to collect the magical letters scattered throughout the game that spell Rush. Oh yeah, your best friend dog robot thing is totally in this game. And you get to use him a couple of times. For stuff. Like Rush Jet, Rush Coil, searching around for things, and the best Rush mode of all is Adapt Mode. Once the Rush letters have been collected, you can transform into an armored, sometimes flying, Rocket Fist having version of yourself. And you can upgrade the Rocket Fists to heat-seeking Rocket Fists. This ability makes some of the fights much easier, especially the ones with base. Once you've refilled your E-tanks and built up your nerve, it's time for Wily. You'll have to take down some sinister baddies with the likes of the Rock Crusher, who is a Frankensteined Guts Man, also Bass and his pal Treble in regular and adapt forms, as well as a giant turtle and a Japanese masked thing. Then a Robotathon against all those bosses from earlier. Once you've dismantled the riffraff, it's a 2-round fight with the Doctor himself. His first form is a giant walking tank with little tanks that you'll want to avoid, not too bad overall, but his second form is a floating nightmare that will disappear and reappear, shooting homing attacks and ground blasts of electricity. Using the springy weapon known as the Wild Coil is one way to defeat him, also maybe following up immediately with a Thunderbolt, which prompts Wily to forego the homing shot and instead use his electric attack in response, which is easier to avoid. But however you do it, once you've defeated him, and replaced your controller and TV, then it's time for a cutscene, where Mega Man almost kills Dr. Wily. And you thought Man of Steel was dark. But luckily Bass rescues Wily before the hero that is Mega Man can make a mega mistake. Then everyone's happy. Also, picture time! While the gameplay isn't a revolution of new ideas, it stays true to the core of what makes a Mega Man game good. Fun fights and cool powers, and tough. Ugh, man, this game. F***ing hard-ass Wily fight. Ugh. Moving on. The musical score of Mega Man 7 is a solid update of the old Mega Man feel, brought to life with the SNES's SMP sound chip. Some clips you might recognize as updates of previous sounds from earlier Mega Man games, such as the boss selection clip, and the Robot Museum being a medley of old Mega Man tunes. But the new songs added in this entry have a ton of heart as well, with songs like Bass's theme song having a pounding rhythm. Also, it's very bassy. Also, Junkman's stage song is badass. The songs might not be as memorable as the original NES Mega Man's, but they were a blast to listen to and serve to add atmosphere and excitement to the overall feel of the game. Definitely worth a listen, especially if you want to save the world from Dr. Wily. First of all, this game isn't the best Mega Man game. Like all games, this game has its ups and downs, pros and cons. The cons are that, in my opinion, the concepts of some of the bosses and levels are a bit weak and some of the stages feel too easy, while other stages are much more challenging with little perceived rhyme or reason. The difficulty doesn't seem to follow a curve as the challenge doesn't ramp, it catapults, with some of the ending bosses being so tough, especially Wily's second form, that I thought I was going to actually break my controller. Basically, just unbalanced in terms of gameplay. Oh, and passwords. I hate passwords. The pros to the game are that I feel it captures the essence of the early Mega Man games with goofy bosses, fun stages, and good music. The gameplay is true to the originals, and I like the ADAPT mode. Also, this game saw the addition of one of my favorite Mega Man characters in the form of Badass Bass. The story adds a bit of darker tones to the familiar narrative of Mega Man, and I thought the game looked great. But in my opinion, this wasn't so much a new game as an old game with a new 16-bit skin. But when that game at the core is Mega Man, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's Mega Man, and it plays like Mega Man. It does the things right that one would expect in a Mega Man game, and I had a load of fun playing it. It might not be the best in the line, and following up Mega Man X most certainly didn't help its reception, but this game, to me, is still worthy of the title, Game of Legend. And you should play it. Thanks for watching, and if you're feeling nostalgic, tell me what your favorite Mega Man game is in the comments. Also subscribe for your chance to win free unlimited access to my upcoming videos.